Good morning, north 44 degrees. Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Today we are going to extend the internet from the barn where we have Starlink over to the house. So we'll install a couple new outlets, run some Cat5 cable, and plug in a router. Should be pretty straightforward. Without much further ado, let's jump into the barn and unbox the bits and pieces that we'll be working with, and we'll get started. All right, getting into these bits. We have this is the wireless bridge, and I did a bunch of research on the internet and on YouTube to figure out how or which products were going to be the best. So this is kind of what I came up with. These are weatherproof, and they have a range of like 7 miles or something like that. Oh, and this is not sponsored, so I can assure you Ada Love does not know who I am. What's in? Oh, these are probably the mounting. Yeah. So we've got 2 antennas, we've got a bunch of hose clamps, and we've got mounting brackets. Okay, this should be fairly straightforward. And then for the router, I went with the Asus AXE 7800. I am not an IT guy, so this should be fun. This will sit on top of the cabinet in the office. And in the office, there are Cat5 ports and places to plug things in. So I am fairly confident we'll get this one sorted out. So a little bit of instructions. We don't need those. Instructions in Spanish. Those are probably far more useful. All right, that's the bits and parts. All right, quick review on how everything is going to be laid out. So this is the barn and the bunkhouse. We have Elon's Starlink satellite dish, which goes to the Starlink router. We have the extra Ethernet port, which is an optional item from Starlink that we'll plug into for the LAN connection. There's also a power box here that the router's plugged into, which the power over Ethernet box will be plugged into, and then we'll go power over Ethernet to the antenna A that's on the pole barn. So this will be attached to the side of the building, and this will look at the house. So for the second half of the system, this is antenna B, which will attach to the side of the house. We have a LAN cable that's going to go to the power over internet or power over Ethernet adapter, which I'm going to plug into the garage door opener plug. And then from there, we're going to run it into the house and grab the router inside. So that should give us everything we need to have high-speed internet in the house. We're going to install a couple outlets. We're going to run a bunch of Cat5 cable, and should be an easy day. One other thing before we get started, I am not an electrician, don't claim to be. I've run a bunch of wire and outlets in previous projects, so I'm comfortable with doing it. If you are not comfortable, please hire an electrician to help you with electrical projects. Not difficult, but they can be deadly if done improperly. There we have step one, a good circuit for the Starlink router. Moment of truth. Well, we have power at the A module. So the barn is done. We've got everything working on that side. We're going to do the house next, and we'll start with the antenna and work our way back in, but I've got about 45 minutes before I need to get cleaned up and take my wife out to dinner. So we're gonna jump in the basement. I found that the Cat 5 plug in the office is already wired. So let's go in the crawl space and find out where that terminates down there. So that may make our life a heck of a lot easier. The last time we were down here, there was still a little bit of work being done. There were some wires hanging, but everything looked pretty good. But guess what they've added? We now have wired lights in the crawl space. So let's go find the office. You know what? If you remember from the last time we were down here, I speculated that these wires hanging had something to do with the front porch lights. I was so wrong. In the office, and we'll go take a peek at that, but there is a phone jack, a Cat 5 cable, and a coax on each side of the office. And that's what this is. There's coax, and I'm not sure which one is which, but that's what these wires are for. So if you get a Commodore home, it is pre-wired for both cable and Ethernet, and the wires are just terminated. They just are hanging free here in the crawl space. This is going to make my life so much easier, because I'll put a connector on there. I'll run it all the way down there to the other end, push it out through the garage, and connect it to the power supply, the power over Ethernet supply. And then on the other end of this, we'll put the router. My life just got easier. one step closer. Looks like we've got power to the B antenna. And then we'll talk about troubleshooting. And for all these guys that put some of these components up and they just fly together and nobody ever has any problems, well, that's complete horse, because sometimes it just doesn't work out like it's supposed to.